So yeah, got a bit of a video idea at the minute. Thought I'd do a video on punk, my thoughts on the subculture punk music, and that mindset. As when you think of punk, like I guess most people think it's a music genre, a subculture around like the 70s. That's birthed by working class rebellion, but especially around like at the time young people, which obviously I think you still get punks to this day that were around back then who were probably now in the 60s and the 70s and all that. But obviously it's, from what I can understand, cause it's before my time, obviously it's working class rebellion, rebelling against authoritarianism, a system that wants control and the rich, obviously like the elitist class, keeping the rich rich and the poor poor. It's the bare basics of it. And obviously I think this is still relevant today, probably even more relevant the way Britain is, the way Europe is, where that woke mind virus has overtaken, and you get lectured to by the mainstream media to think a certain way, act a certain way, otherwise, or if you voice this opinion or that opinion on social media, we'll chuck you in prison. Just the usual, you've probably heard it before, that it's more relevant than ever, I think. And I think there should be some sort of comeback to that sort of thing, especially with like Keir Starmer and this like digital ID stuff and Palpatine lurking around in the background. That's Tony Blair, by the way. With this digital ID, where there's this effort from our elitist class for authoritarianism and control. And it's very scary times. So I think punk should be more relevant today than ever, and obviously the working class are rising up with this project Raise the Colours and all that. Mass protests every weekend across the country, the Tommy Robinson stuff. To me, that's kind of punk, basically. It's punk rock, I guess. And obviously, you got like I was talking about comedy the other day, like I like my comedies offensive. Again, to me, that's punk rock. Things like Brass Eye, Chris Morris, Four Lions. These comedies that came out in the 90s, 2000s, where people wasn't as offended by things, not as fragile minded, not weak minded. Again, it's punk, and something that's kind of growing on me, especially as a music genre. Like I was started listening to a little bit of that sort of stuff, and I was thinking, do you know what? Like the way I think today and the way I feel about things, my anger towards this current government and current day politics with Keir Starmer, I can get into this. That's what I thought. Like, I came across a song by Public Image Limited, and I thought, oh, and a few other like John Lydon sort of songs, and I thought, do you know what? I can get into this. Like, this is as relevant as ever, you know. So I'm obviously in that sort of mood at the minute, music wise. When, like yesterday, I'm having a bit of a shit day, feeling angry and all that. But it's not just that. I think I've always kind of related to that sort of stuff, like Banksy. When I was a teenager, getting into art, I was quite into him, and because of that rebellious nature, and people like Jean-Michel Basquiat, they were people I kind of was into when I was doing art at college. So I think I've always kind of had that rebellious mindset. Like, some of that kind of comes natural to me. Like I've mentioned it in other videos. So it can span across like to comedy, to art, film, and so on. Like I mentioned, it's a bit before my time, punk, you know, when it was in its prime, at its fucking peak. You had things like the Prodigy that, like, I know someone that's a big fan of the Prodigy who was around when punk was at its peak, and said that was kind of like some sort of evolution to it, like a continuation to what like the Sex Pistols did. And like I make music, I make like electronic music. It's not really punk, but I've kind of had thoughts of dabbling into maybe doing punk. Like, I've got some equipment to do that sort of stuff. Like, I've got an okay microphone, like a Rhodes microphone or something. I've got a MacBook from when I was at uni, some music software editing. So I've kind of got facilities to maybe like give it a crack. Whether it'll be any good or not, time will tell. But I think maybe there's something in there, in that mind of mine, that I could probably do something quite interesting with it, I guess. So that's some sort of ambition that I'm thinking of doing. Because I've thought of doing lyrics based music, because at the minute I do know, what do you call it? Just like, what the fucking hell, I've got brain freeze. Obviously, ambient music, there's no lyrics to it, really. But I thought of doing that sort of stuff where I do sing over it, but just can't be arsed, to be honest. So maybe that's my opportunity where I can get a bit experimental, a bit creative with that sort of stuff. Because I think by nature I am creative, I do have artistic ambitions. But yeah, I just think it's something that at the minute, the way the world is, it's something I really relate to, and I think is very relevant to the way the world is today. Like, that's just my personal feelings on it, then. Let me know in the comments if you've got any thoughts on this. I'd be very interested to know. But I don't know if there's really anything else to say on that at the minute. I might talk more on it at some point. Something else might come to my head, but yeah, I think that's it.